Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Jaded Blossom's November 2020 release is now available. It's a fun Christmas themed release with lots of great stamp and die sets. So let me show you the items I received. I have 2 of the new add-on Octagon die sets and also 2 fun stamp sets. A couple months ago, Jaded Blossom released this really fun Octagon Treat Box. They had an add-on set for Halloween, and now they have 2 add-on sets for Christmas, and they are so fun. So here's a look at the original Octagon Treat Box, which you will need that first die set on the right in order to create your boxes. The other add-ons only include the accessories. With the 2 new Christmas add-on sets, you'll be able to create Santa, snowmen, reindeer, some elves, gingerbread men, so many options, and you can mix and match all of those pieces to come up with your own ideas. For the stamp sets, I received Gingerbread Calories. I thought this one looked really fun. I love the sentiments. There are a couple images if you like to color. The other set is Clear Jar Gingerbread Add Ons. Even though I don't color images very often, I think there are so many other ways you could still use this set. I will have links provided in the description box for the 4 items I received, and you can also go and check out the other items available in the November release. I did make a few cards. I'm using an older Christmas collection by Doodlebug. This is Milk and Cookies. I think it's from 2017. I've already used this collection for a 6x6 video, but I did purchase 2, so I thought it would be good to use up some more of that paper. For card design number 1, I have this beautiful snowflake paper for the background, layering it on some green cardstock. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. I'll be attaching a vellum oval, but first I'll be stamping one of the images from the Clear Jar Gingerbread Add-on set. I have the bunch of marshmallows. I'm going to ink this up and stamp it on some white pearlescent cardstock. And I didn't get a good impression that first time, so I am stamping it 2 times. Since I don't want that ink to smear, I'll do some heat embossing. I use some clear embossing powder. Now I'll heat set that. And I didn't stamp the entire image since I'll only use a very small portion of it. I'm using a couple of dies from the coffee die set. I have the mug, and I also cut out the little coffee, the liquid portion, but for my cup, it's going to be hot cocoa. I thought the idea of having a pile of marshmallows on top of the cocoa would be really fun. I'm holding the hot chocolate die cut piece up to the marshmallows. Since it has that curve at the bottom, I want to trim the edge of the marshmallows so it matches that same curve. That way when I adhere them on top, it'll look like they're sort of melting into the hot cocoa. Now I'll just fussy cut all along that outside edge of the marshmallows. This stamp set does include the single marshmallow image. I could have cut out several of those and just stacked them on top, but since there's the image with the big stack of marshmallows, I thought this would work out better. First, I'll attach that hot cocoa die cut piece, using some liquid adhesive to adhere those together. Then I'll put liquid adhesive on the bottom portion of the marshmallows and adhere it on top of that cocoa. I do want to leave a little bit of the cocoa showing. On the back side, I'll add some scrap pieces of cardstock. That way the marshmallow area and the mug are all at the same level. I'll pop up this image using some thin foam squares, and I'll be adhering that mug to the center of the vellum oval. I don't want to attach that vellum oval yet since you'll see the adhesive through it, but this way once I put my image on top, I'll have an area to put the adhesive. So I'll get good coverage with the foam adhesive so everything is nice and level. Remove the release paper and attach my mug to the center of the oval. Now I'll be able to put some liquid adhesive on the back side of the oval, just in the area where the mug and the marshmallows are. I can attach it to my card front, and there are still the loose areas all along the outside, but it doesn't really lift up, so I think that works out just fine. I'll also be adding this adorable gingerbread man. This is from the coordinating die cut pack. The sentiment is sugar and spice and everything nice. I've already stamped this out using Catherine Pooler's Icing on the Cake ink color. I cut a fishtail on the left side. Before attaching it to the card, I will add a scrap piece of the vellum on the very left-hand side where it goes off of the oval. And I did lift up the very bottom of the oval, put just a drop of liquid adhesive underneath since it will be covered up. I'll pop up the gingerbread man using some foam dimension. It's a little bit thicker than the dimension I use for the mug. I'm using that thicker dimension just on the right side. On the left side of the gingerbread man, I'll add some of the thin foam squares since that portion will be sitting on top of the mug and part of the sentiment. I'll just adhere it to the card, decided to have it slightly at an angle. I cut out 2 small banners and also a heart from Jaded Blossom's banner die set. I'll add the pink heart to the center of the mug. And I'll put the 2 banners in the upper left-hand corner. Attach the larger banner first. I'll put a tiny little scrap piece of cardstock to the right of that banner. Then I can attach the smaller banner. Having that tiny scrap piece of cardstock will help prevent the smaller banner from sort of drooping off the edge on the right side. I'm just attaching all of these using some liquid adhesive. One final finishing touch, I'm using a clear glitter brush from scrapbook.com and adding it to the heart. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out, and I did make 2 using this design. Now moving on to card design number 2. I'm using Jaded Blossom's Sunburst Card Mat Die. I have some really fun pink candy cane and little candy pattern paper. I cut out the frame from some bright pink cardstock, flipped over the frame. Now I'm putting some double-sided tape on the back side. This is 1-inch tape. For that very final piece, I think I'm using 3/4 of an inch tape. Now I can flip over the frame and inlay all of those little pattern paper pieces. And every single piece is different, so you can't mess up where any of them go. And I did speed this portion up quite a bit. I just grab a piece, look for the area it goes, and place it into the frame. I love doing the inlay die technique since everything lays nice and flat. I use my scissors to trim away just a little sliver of that double-sided tape. Now I can flip over this panel, remove the release paper, and any of those areas where the tape did go off the edge, I'm just running my finger on it, just rubbing it back in. That way it's not exposed on the outside of the card. I'll layer this piece on the same dark pink cardstock or bright pink cardstock, so there is that additional 1/8 of an inch border. I'll put my card front onto a card base. So now I can add some images. I've already stamped out and colored. I know it's hard to believe, but I did do a little bit of coloring, just pink colors though. So I have some candy canes and also several of the gumdrops. The sentiment is wishing you a yummy holiday season. Isn't that fun? And I believe that's Catherine Pooler's Party Dress ink color. Forgot to write that down. I'll be adding all of the candy over the circle on that background die, putting the 2 candy canes underneath the sentiment, tucking some of the gumdrops underneath. Then I can put the sentiment on top. I did add some scrap cardstock pieces just to keep that sentiment nice and level. Tuck one of the darker pink gumdrops behind the sentiment. I did trim it down just a little bit. On some of the gumdrops, I am popping them up using a thin foam square, and then the others, I'm gluing them down directly onto the card. This is about as fancy as I get when I color images, just one solid color. I did use Copic markers for all of the coloring, but I forgot to write down the colors that I used. So just one more final gumdrop. I'll also add a couple white gem stickers around all of those candy images. And since they are gumdrops, they need to have that sugar sparkle. So I'm using the clear glitter brush and just adding it to all of the gumdrops. So there is my finished card, super pink, super sweet. I did make 2 using this design. And I didn't mention it earlier, but I simply fussy cut out all of those images. Now moving on to card design number 3. I am using a card sketch for inspiration. This is Sweet Sunday number 151. And this is going to be a very bright and cheerful Christmas card. I'll be using 3 different pattern papers on this card. It's hard to see in the video, but that background red paper is polka dot. Then I have this fun little starburst design. It's got pink, green, red, and blue. Layered both of those pieces on some red cardstock, and that red cardstock is basically the same color as that red polka dot paper, but it does still add that little bit of separation. I'll layer the background on some bright green cardstock, put my card front onto a card base. I will be leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I layered the gingerbread paper on that same bright green cardstock, and then I'll attach it to the card. And I am following this sketch closely. I've already stamped out the sentiment, gingerbread calories don't count. Isn't that fun? Cut a fishtail on the left side. And I have some craft cardstock. I'll be using the small single gingerbread stamp. I have icing on the cake ink color from Catherine Pooler, and I'll just stamp one of the gingerbread cookies on that craft color. I'll layer this circle on some darker brown cardstock, trying to make sure to get that layer nice and straight. It's a nice thing about using liquid adhesive. You usually have a few seconds of wiggle time to get everything adjusted before the glue really adheres. I will be putting some scrap cardstock on the right side of the circle. Before I attach the image, I do need to attach the sentiment. The very left side where it goes off of all of those layers. First, I'll put some thin foam pieces on just the very tips of that fishtail. I'll put a small scrap piece of cardstock next to that. Remove the release paper, put liquid adhesive on the back, and adhere it to the card. Then I can add my gingerbread to the right of the sentiment. For embellishments on the card, I have some red gem stickers. These are by Spellbinders. I like that it has several different sizes. I'm using just the 2 smallest sizes. Putting 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 1 to the right of the image. Then I wanted to add some icing to my gingerbread man. I'm using a white gel pen, putting it on the little hands and the feet, and also the 2 little buttons in the center. And since this isn't going on super smooth, it almost has that icing look to it. I think you'll be able to see it in the close-up photo. I think this image would be easy enough to color and fussy cut out as well. I almost forgot to add it to the buttons. I don't use my white gel pen very often, so that's why I have a scrap piece of paper next to me, just to make sure it's flowing nicely. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this sketch. I love the cheerful colors on this card, and the gingerbread pattern paper is super sweet. Now it's time to assemble an Octagon Treat Box, and these are so easy to do and super fun. Once I get started, I just keep making boxes. So for the box, you'll need to cut out 2 pieces, and this is a die that's included in that original Octagon Treat die set. All of those perforated areas, you'll go ahead and fold those. So that's all I'm doing right now. I'm using some older pink cardstock. It has a bright pink on one side and a light pink on the other. Not sure where I got it, but it worked out really nicely for this box. Now on all of those little folded tabs, I'm adding a piece of double-sided tape. You can also use liquid adhesive. I prefer to do both. Just want to make sure everything stays attached. I'll also add some double-sided tape on just one of those rectangle flaps. I like to start with the area that has those 3 tabs. So I remove the release paper, add some liquid adhesive, just some small drops. Then I flip over that piece, fold up the two sides and press them together. Then I'll remove this release paper, add some more liquid adhesive and fold up the bottom portion of the box. So there's one side. Then I'll do the same thing to the other side. I have assembled several different treat box styles, and this is definitely the easiest one I've ever done. So I'll fold up the base of the second piece. Now I can remove the rest of the release paper. I'll add those small drops of liquid adhesive. And having both adhesives just makes sure that the box won't fall apart. Now it's time to put the two pieces together. I'm just making sure that I have the double-sided tape going on the inside of the box. I'll line up one side first and then the other side. You can see how easily that just all folds in together. Then I put my hand on the inside and I'm just pressing everything together. And since my fingers are too short to reach the bottom of the box, I pressed it down using my bottle of glue. Now that the main portion of the box is assembled, this is the fun part, creating whatever image or critter you want to on the outside of the box. And you can probably tell from the shape of the ears, but I'm making a little girl elf. The large Octagon die cut piece, this is from the original Octagon Treat set. Put some double-sided tape on the right and left side to attach the ears. I'll put liquid adhesive on the back and attach the face onto the front of the box. I'm trying to make sure to get it nice and straight. And I'm just pressing my fingers on the inside to make sure everything adheres nicely. Most of the die cut pieces I'm using for this elf are from the add-on set 1, but a few of them are from set 2. So I have the little hat, and it has this little crown piece to go on the base of it. And you can also use this as the Santa hat. So I'll glue those two pieces together. There's the little ball at the end of the hat. You could put a little pom-pom, and there's also the die for the bell. So I use some silver mirror cardstock to add a silver bell. I'm using two different circle die cuts for the eye. The small blue piece is included in the add-on set 1. The larger white die cut piece is from the add-on Halloween set. Now I wanted this little girl to have longer hair. So I cut out two of the scarves. So that's what this yellow piece is. It's the snowman scarf. And I just trimmed off the end piece because it looked like a little bit of hair hanging down. Now there's only one die, so you don't have one going the other direction. So for the hair on the left, I simply flipped over that die cut piece. It doesn't have the same stitch detail, but I think it still works out just fine. I place both of those little hair pieces down first, then I attach the top portion of the hair, so the little bangs. Once those are in place, I'll put liquid adhesive on the back and attach this whole piece onto the little girl's face. So it's a very short hairstyle for this little elf. And I did make her blonde since my little girl is blonde, so I do tend to add blonde hair to little girl images. Now I can attach the hat, putting liquid adhesive on the back. And the hat does go fairly low onto the head, so you only see a little bit of the hair. Now I'll attach the eyes, the nose, and the mouth for the little elf. And I did make her blue-eyed, since again, my girl, blonde hair and blue eyes. I decided to cut the nose out of the same flesh tone colored cardstock. Just trying to press everything in place, making sure to get them nice and straight. The mouth is so cute. It's this little crooked smile. I used black cardstock for the mouth. Probably not the right color to use, but I think it still looks just fine. Some of the die cut pieces are really small, so it does help to use some reverse tweezers. Just put some liquid adhesive on the back and press it in place. And I'm just flipping over the box to get my fingers inside, again, just to add that extra pressure to make sure everything is adhered nicely. I cut out a pink glitter bow, and this is from the add-on 2 set. Trying to decide if I wanted it on the left or the right. I think it looks balanced out better if it's on the right, since the little bell is on the left. So there is my sweet little box. Now you can attach a handle, but you don't have to. Just showing you where the handle would go. I decided to leave the handle off for several of my boxes. I'm only showing the process of assembling the little girl elf, but I did make 9 other boxes. So here's a little boy elf. Used a different skin color for him and added an extra little crown with the white and the red. I made 2 different gingerbread cookies. Have the little gingerbread man on the left and the gingerbread lady on the right. I made 2 different reindeer or deer. Have the traditional brown deer on the right, and I decided to do a white deer with gray on the left, and I put it on a blue box, and that is one of my favorites. I love the blue, gray, and white together. Next we have Santa and also Santa's suit. So this is fun since you have the little buckle, and I did cut that out of gold foil cardstock. And for Santa, I used some pink ink to make his cheeks rosy. Then we have a little snowman. So here's that scarf. So that's where I made the girl's hair. But this time I used some blue gingham cardstock for the little snowman scarf. And just for fun, I made a pink bat and added the elf hat. The dies to make the bat are included in the Halloween add-on set, and this bat is so cute. My daughter made her own treat box. This is a Christmas critter. That's what she's calling it. I love how she made the collar with the bell, and she added the little handle. I think this turned out so fun. She really wanted to use traditional Christmas colors for her critter. Now here's another look at the 6 cards I made using Jaded Blossom's brand new November 2021 release. This is a fun Christmas themed release, lots of stamps and dies. I do have links provided in the description box if you are interested in any of the products I used in this video. And here's another look at the 10 Octagon Treat Boxes that I made. I also have individual pictures of the cards and all of the boxes on my coordinating blog post, and that link is in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.